every Girl Scout promise before us, we recognize our scouts to serve God and country, to help others, to live by the Girl Scout law. That law in part talks about being honest and fair and friendly and helpful, considerate, caring, courageous, strong, taking responsibility for what we say and do, respect others and ourselves, use resources wisely, make the world a better place, and be a sister to every Girl Scout. We can take each and every one of these principles of the Girl Scout law and find exact scriptures to back up every one of them. And the Boy Scouts and other community organizations and groups of all kinds, societies and countries, have their principles and rules and laws and shared values which they gather around. And it becomes the glue which holds them and us together. It tells who and what they are, what their mission is. And so it is in Christianity. We have the law of Moses, the Ten Commandments, creeds, catechisms, and thousands of principles and precepts, which we are called to try to live up to. Among them in Christianity is the code in this passage called the Beatitudes. It's simply a Latin root word which means blessed. That's why we read in the English translation, blessed are those, the Beatitudes, blessed. What is blessed? Anybody feel blessed this morning yet? All right, good. We'll get the rest of you there soon. Well, it's a state of supreme or heavenly happiness, if we can imagine that, a little taste of that even. Heavenly happiness, or contentment, divine favor, or protection, blessedness. Are these just sayings, blessed be, or are they rules? Are they rules? Are they laws? Are these things we just read a code that we can or should adhere to? When I was thinking about the title of this message, I originally titled it, Living Up to the Christian Code. Living Up to the Christian Code. And then I thought, I don't know, that sounds like a heavy lift. And it sounds like I'd be frustrated pretty much every day trying to get there. There must be something else. So as I reflected further, I realized that these Beatitudes, blessings, are not a code. They're not a law. They're not a creed that we live up to by outer behaviors. They sound like outer behaviors, but they're actually not. Because who wants to come close and fall short again? And come close and fall short again? And over again? I don't think we like that. And we just try harder and harder. Do you feel like that sometimes? Wherever you are, whether at work or in family life or in church, I'm just trying harder. And I'm trying harder. And I'm not sure I'm getting anywhere. It just seems it's too much. It's just a little too much. And it makes sense because these blessings, blessed are you, they are not external. They are not external behaviors. They're internal. They are not what we do. This is so important. They're not what we do, these things. They are what we are. They are what we are. So that's why I retitled the message to say, Living from Out of the Christian Code. The Beatitudes. Because these Beatitudes are or should be the core, the foundation of our being. A state of being from out of which we live the Christian rules. Because we can't do it from the outside in. We have to do it from the inside out. Another thing I realized was that they are not linear. I used to read this and think, all right, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom. Next, check that first box off. Next, blessed are those who mourn. Okay, I've mourned, be comforted. Next, go down a few. Blessed are the merciful. I got that down. I got that. Next. There's like 8 or 9 of these things, right? But it's not linear like that. It's global. We move back and forth between all of these blessed things. And sometimes we're kind of on one. And then God moves us, because God is at work always in us, and moves us to maybe 4 down the list. And then we're back up at number 1. Oh, I thought I did that number 1 already. But we're back up there, and then we're wherever we are. So God is working all these things in us at the same time. It's not a checklist. We don't graduate from the next to the next when we fulfill it. We will put ourselves in a state of chagrin if we approach it like that. So each one, God is working on our poor in spiritness, our humbleness, God is working on our meekness. God is working on our thirsting and hungering after righteousness. God is working on our purity in heart, and so on, each one. We don't receive a diploma in peacemaking, and then go to that next one. They're all in action at the same time. And with all of this, we are becoming more fully what God intends us to be as people, as our being, what we are becoming in Christ. We are becoming poor in spirit. We are becoming mourners. We are becoming meek. We are becoming hungry and thirsty. We are becoming pure in heart. We are becoming righteous. We are becoming, this is a tough one, reviled and persecuted and slandered. Who wants to become that? But we have our part in that too. Jesus said, take up your cross and follow me, and don't expect better treatment than I've got. These things are happening to us all the time in the midst of our daily living, through our experiences. And in them and through them, our inner hearts are changed. That's what God is looking at and for, the inner stuff. The inner stuff. Because it's only when we are changed inside that the outside can really change with it and catch up. Where our words and deeds and outer behaviors begin to match up closer and closer each day with what God is calling us to be as his followers. Blessedness, pure contentment, divine favor, having an experience of heavenly happiness and joy. We can have this now. We don't have to wait till the old bye-bye and wait till later. This is for us now. Otherwise, it's a useless scripture. It's a useless passage. It should just be taken out. If it's not for us now, God wouldn't frustrate us like that. Let's quickly look at some of the blessings. Blessed are the poor in spirit. In each of these, you see the condition of the heart. And then you see the result. Blessed are the poor in spirit, the condition, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. The result. Poor in spirit does not mean having low self-esteem or beating yourself up over everything. It is a state of being humble. That is seeing yourself in the proper or right position before God. A good thing for Lent. As if we were standing before God's throne. Standing before the King of Kings. The opposite of humbleness is pride, thinking more highly of ourselves than is warranted, and thinking we have everything because we did it ourselves, through our own work, not because of God. God resists the proud, it says. So when we're proud, we're moving farther and farther away from God, but when we're humble, God says, I'm not going to resist you. You can come into my blessedness, the heavenly kingdom, the experience right now. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. There's a family mourning today. And we all are mourning for either real losses and losses to come. And it's not just in the death or removal of someone from our circle, but we've all suffered tremendous losses in different ways. Blessed are those who mourn. It's true of our personal losses, but it's also a regret, a mourning for our own sins and shortcomings, because it caused the Son of God to die. When you wrap them all up together, it caused Jesus to go to the cross. And we mourn that, and we regret that. It's that kind of mourning. And there's a deep mourning involved for the state of the world. It's not just us. It's the state of our community. It's the state of the world, the state of our nation. And for those who are experiencing disaster and crushing circumstances in our life, every day we mourn for them. And that mourning gives us a passion in praying. And yes, even when it comes to the outer things of service, it helps us. We're mourning for them, another Lenten type thing. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Being meek results in inheriting the earth. Meekness is a gentle heart, a compassionate spirit, a default tendency from within us towards mercy for others. Before we judge and before we condemn and do all that stuff, meekness is not seeking to control or gain our way over others or manipulate others through whatever means we can find, but it means giving others their place. Meekness is our own self-control and our obedience to God. Imagine a world, our world, where rules the abusive and the barbaric, and the world like the haters and the fear-mongers. Imagine that same world being given over to the meek. What would that look like? Heaven on earth. Isn't that what the Lord's Prayer is? Heaven on earth? We're participating with God in that. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Righteousness is a deep desire for justice and purity and holiness. We like to talk about justice, and that's good, but sometimes we want to put aside the purity, because that's a little scary. What does that mean, purity? It's only when deep in our spirit we travail, because we can't live without these things, without righteousness. We can't survive unless we seek after and promote these things. Then we'll be filled with what we seek. Deep desire for justice, purity, and holiness. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. It's having a heart for others first. It's being compassionate with God's compassion. Not being quick to stomp down or hurt or deny or judge. It's like forgiveness. The measure we give forgiveness, we get back. Mercy, it's kind of like the measure we give. That's kind of mercy we seem to receive sometimes. But mercy emanates from out of our inner being that we give as a gift to others. It's God mercy. There are corporal mercies that are actually spoken of later in chapter 25 in Matthew that are food for the hungry. When did you do this? Jesus said. Drink for the thirsty, clothing for the naked, welcoming the stranger, shelter for the homeless, comfort for the imprisoned, visiting the sick, and so on. That's mercy. And there are spiritual mercies, many of them. It's admonishing sin, instructing people, counseling, comforting, patience with those in error, forgiveness, and prayer. So there's the corporal and the spiritual mercies. Every day God is working in us and through us. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. I always like this one. They will see God. It's a condition, purity of heart. But what is that? It's when our hearts, our innermost being, desires God more than anything else. More than anything else. When our affections are placed on God, not on the things of the earth which are passing away, temporal, and mean nothing. When our will conforms to God's will. When we're selfless and totally surrendered to God. We are in the process of becoming pure in heart. God prunes us or cuts us back many times, not always painless or easy. So new growth can come. And by fire, it says, God is a refiner's fire, where like when gold is heated up and the impurities rise to the surface, they're skimmed off and the gold becomes more pure, more pure, more pure. That's what God is doing with us to make us pure in heart. And what is the result? We will see God. How many want to see God? Right? Anybody scared by that? I want to see God, but I also go, whoa, see God? You know, Moses could only look at the trailing parts of God as God went by. Moses was in the cleft. It's a tricky thing, seeing God. But we don't have to wait for heaven where it says we shall see God as he is. We see God in Jesus. We also begin to see with our spiritual eyes as God sees. And in that way we see God. And we see things as God sees. When we do that, see things as God sees. It's so important for us today because it makes us a prophetic people. Seeking God's will and knowing God's will. And not walking around aimless and wondering what's going on around me. What's going on in the world. We know what God is doing. Speaking God's word with confidence. We can only do that with purity of heart. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Don't we need more peacemakers in our world right now? Like a few more, Lord? And aren't we all called children of God already? I thought we were. But it says, for they will be called children of God. What I think this means is when we can be, as Christians, be able to bring peace into situations because of our presence, people will say, they're from God. They know God. They're a child of God. It's so clearly seen when we can bring peace. Jesus was constantly saying, my peace I give to you, my peace I leave to you. We possess it already. It's inside of us. We possess it. We have it. But we forget it sometimes, or we're afraid of using it, or we don't know if it'll work. But if we will trust a little bit, say, I have the peace beyond human understanding that Jesus has already given. It says it over and over. We can be peacemakers. And people will see God in us and they'll go, that's a God person. That's a God person. We retain that gift. It's within our power to give every day in whatever situation. The last, blessed are those who are persecuted. Oh, well, We know what saints have gone through all throughout history and Christian history. When we believe in Christ and stand up for Christ, no matter what, as things get worse and worse, it says people that stand up in this way, theirs is the kingdom of heaven. They own heaven. It will be theirs. We will attain it. Whether we're reviled, persecuted, slandered, our reward is great in heaven. We'll be blessed. Oh, I don't want to be so blessed, Lord. I don't need persecution. I don't need slander against me. I don't need being reviled and hated. But I guess it comes with the territory, and there's no guarantees or warranties in this. All of this promised blessedness or pure joy or contentment or favor of God is not for the old by and by, not only for heaven, but here and now. And it comes from when we live out of this inner state of blessedness, of being. They're not beyond our reach. They're not a chore or a task or a drudgery for us, but instead come flowing forth, springs of living water flowing forth from our deepest nature. That's the way it works. The God nature that lives within us. And so during this Lenten season and beyond, may we be hungering and thirsting. Imagine really hungering and thirsting after the God things. Developing a purity of heart, making it a spiritual practice of forgiveness and mercy and all the rest of these blessed things. Blessed are those who, blessed are those who, that's us. The who, that's us. And when we do that, a few verses later it says, we're the salt of the earth. We're the light of the world in Jesus' name. Blessed are those who, that's us. And that's the message for this day.